I welcome you to our class. This is the fourth class of Integrated Theology. It is entitled Theosci Philosophy. I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and today we're going to discuss the second supplemental lecture to Lecture 1. We're discussing the topic that is entitled The Importance of Teritiaric Knowledge. In the last segment, we spoke of tertiaric knowledge as being the foundational knowledge that springs forth. This knowledge then proceedeth forth out of Logos. It is every containment, and it has to do with every field of study that exists. Number one, every field that studies, or every person that studies any type of science, scientia, topic, or subject in school, it is surrounded and interwoven with what we call knowledge. Something that can be learned, something that can be understood, something that can be unraveled. And as we learn it, this knowledge then feeds our mind. This knowledge brings us into a state of change, because as we learn, how we think changes. As we learn, how we proceed to live, to cogitate, even to feel through our emotions or make choices change. Everything in existence is tied to some type of information. The information then is knowledge. And so the importance of ology or scientia, the study of knowledge, ology, studying, proology, what do you do? What do you gather for the purpose of studying your scientia? And so, without scientia, there could be nothing to know. Without scientia, there would be nothing to investigate. There would be nothing to unravel. There would be nothing for the human mind to ponder on, to learn, to gain access to functionality to the realm in which we dwell. And so, knowledge is the key. We could not know God. We could not know the external world. We could not be conscious or aware of others, their feelings, their existence. And the fact of the matter, without knowledge, we would have no knowledge of ourselves. We would have no understanding of what we thought, who we were, why we developed the way we do, and how we have developed. Knowledge is essential. As a matter of fact, God is God and operates as God because he knows who he is and what latitude he has to operate. He is omniscient or omniscientia. He knows everything that can be known. He also knows what the human mind and what the angelic or pneumatic mind can never know. And so knowledge then, the foundation of understanding reality. Without knowledge, we wouldn't understand what reality is. Without knowledge, it would be impossible for us to grasp concepts. There would be no understanding of the objective. There would be no understanding of the subjective. There would be no understanding of abstract thoughts, logic, critical thinking. We, as individuals, as human beings, our minds would be useless because there would be nothing for them to exercise, to cogitate on. Knowledge, then, is the key. Knowledge pulls everything in. Knowledge exposes the human mind and even the angelic mind to awareness of the foundations of reality and of the reality in which we were created, placed, and function in. Secondarily, Without philosophy, philosophia, or philios sophia, the love of wisdom. Why is it the love of wisdom? Because wisdom dictates and reveals what we must and should do with the application of knowledge. And so, philosophical studies, and in many cases, preachers and pastors and believers are afraid to understand what philosophy is. Philosophy, then, is no more than a tool. And for many centuries, the philosophers have stolen what God placed in the church. Philosophy, then, is the ability to perspectivize, the ability to turn and to shift and to look at knowledge from the fields within the philosophical study. In other words, when we look at a topic, we look at a scripture, we look at even a belief system, we shift and turn to see, is it ethical in accordance to God's will? Number two, is it logical? Does it conform to the thought of the thinker of the thought, who is Logos? Does it conform to the reality of understanding that the mind of God is truth? Is it, number one, cosmologically correct? Does it reveal the systems and the order of the cosmos? Does it reveal how the cosmos was created? Does it reveal about ontology, the origin of all things, where they came from, why they work, how they work, who set them into motion, and what is the systemic order that comes from them? We would never know about philosophy, governance. How is heaven governed? How is the angelic tier or choirs governed? How should man be governed? And how are the powers of darkness governed? There are so many things, even about the philosophy of the mind or mensiology. Philosophy shows us how we should think. How should the mind think ethically? What is its purpose axiologically? What is its purpose cosmologically? What is its purpose in logic, aesthetics? And so philosophy then gives us a perspective from different fields as it pertains to the origin of all knowledge and what we should do with it. And then finally, philosophy leads us to God. Then theology takes everything and every piece of knowledge to understand the laws that govern it, the purpose and the will of God for creating it. Even laws were created and sprang forth out of the Logos. And when I mean created, I'm not talking about ex materialis or uh, something that is ex nihilic. But what I'm talking about, the existence of knowledge in the eternal transcendent mind of God. It was always there. Therefore, the mind of God ontologically is the source of every thought, every concept, every truth, every law, and all of those things conform to the purpose and the will of God. And all of these things reveal to us how we were meant to actually live in this world. Live in this world in accordance with God's rule, in accordance with God's love, in accordance with God's understanding. And so every law then is literally tied to the heart of God. It is the expression of God's desire, the expression of God's knowledge, the expression of what God knows should be in order to keep logic, to keep smooth operations, and for creation to function flawlessly. And so it is important that we understand knowledge, the perspectivizing of knowledge through philosophy, and the understanding of God's immaculate purpose for the existence of these three-tiered knowledges. I thank you for joining me. This has been our fourth class on integrated theology entitled Theosai Philosophy, and I am your host, Bishop Dr. Derek A. Reeves. Don't forget to listen, like, subscribe, and share. Be ready. Jesus will come back soon. God bless you.